Hey there, this is Neil. Thanks for tuning in. The first 20 minutes of this podcast are going to be a little shitty sounding, but afterwards the audio problem is fixed and it'll be normal from there. Thank you. You're listening to Fancy Ramen, a podcast about video games and whatever else we decide to throw into the mix. I'm Neil.
I'm Cookie.
And I'm Scott.
And today we're going to start off by going over some emails we've received and a comment that I've been forgetting about on our YouTube channel. Because what else are we going to do with those things?
Besides forget about them?
Yeah.
Or acknowledge them?
Acknowledge them, yeah.
Sweet.
Read them out loud.
Are you guys ready for some Shin Megami Tensei?
Is this first one about Shin Megami Tensei?
No.
It has nothing to do with that.
All right, who wants to read this one from Noah?
I want to read it.
Would you care to do the honors?
I want to read it. I'll read it.
Okay.
I have a question for the Ramen cast. Out of the three of you fine gentlemen, which one of you cook better? My next waifu has to be able to make a killer potato soup, chicken fried steak, and ginger snaps.
Wait, so are we vying to be Noah's waifu?
I think we're vying to be Noah's waifu.
That's extra problematic if it's Neil.
Yeah, since this is my brother.
I would toss the vote in for Cookie, though.
I was about to say.
I know you have those cooking skills, and you're the only person out of the three of us who's someone who's actually decided to make their waifu. So I think those are two pretty big pluses on your end.
To make their waifu? Oh, you mean who has a wife?
No. I don't think you're getting it, Neil. He's
No.
Lizzie's waifu.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
I am Lizzie's waifu. I don't know. That one potato dish, wait, that wasn't a potato dish. That was a dumpling dish you made us, Scott.
Oh, you mean the pasties?
Yeah, I don't know if I'd call it a dumpling either. It was... Did you call it a pasty just now?
Yes, it's called a pasty.
It was definitely a dumpling dish.
Is it a pasty, or is the dish called a pasty, like with an A at the start of it?
To me, like an opossum?
It's a space pasty would be a single one of those items that I made for you.
Which could be referred to as pasties.
Yes, in the plural form.
Because that's the only time you can eat them, in the pasties.
You can sound really feminine if you just have C's at the end of any word you use.
Dixies.
Cupsies. It doesn't work on some things like coffee C's.
Coffee C's? Coffee C's.
Cafefe?
Wouldn't you say coffees? Like, you'd truncate it just a little bit.
Well, coffees would be like, oh, I've got a case of the coffees.
Okay, this is a really
and you gotta chunksies it a little bit. We're going for waifus here, Scott Kuhn.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh,
No, we're going off track.
Yeah, I don't know. I think Cookie's probably the best cook out of all of us.
Yeah, I would agree.
My chicken fried steak is wonderful, and I do have that whole thing where I was baking cookies for a living for about 1.5 years of my life. So,
oh, that's right. You worked.
Oh, that is right. Yeah, Cookie hands down wins it. But I will say, I'll hang out with Noah and new waifu Cookie because I love ginger snaps.
Who would have guessed that Eileen's was actually a young black male? That Eileen was, excuse me.
Who would have thought that Eileen was a young black mailer?
Mailer? Like you send letters out?
Yeah. Send letters out of incriminating photos of people. And so you better buy my cookies.
He's a blackmailer.
I'm glad you finally got it.
Yeah, I'm usually the pun one, and now I'm dropping the ball. The rest of the email goes...
DDLC, Doki Doki Literature Club, was a bit of a mine. Beep! First twist. But the rest was kind of expected once the game / Monica started to change the files. There is a good ending that you can get if you save before you make the first poem, go through the girl's story arc up to the point of talking with Sayori before she decides to hang out. God damn, that's rough.
There's no quotes there, but the air quotes should be there.
That didn't register until just now.
Neither, not for me either.
Wow.
Yeah.
I see where you get it, Neil. The horrible puns.
Reload and do another girls. Do all three and continue on. At the end, Sayori will know that you did your best to get along with everyone, and she doesn't go nuts and the credits roll. During the credit roll, none of the pictures will be deleted, and you will get a special note from the dev. Also fun is that each girl's file is hiding something more. Sayori becomes an OGG file that when you view its spectrograph, you get a QR code. What's in the QR code? I'm kind of curious. Did anyone scan the QR code?
I think it may explain a little further in this email.
Sure. Monica is a PNG with a binary image in the middle that gives you a poem. Yuri is a creepypasta that the dev wrote. Creepypasta? That's how it's supposed to be? Creepypasta.
Yeah, creepypasta is it's a type of writing style that you can find actually on r/creepypasta. And it also comes from a play on words on like copy paste. But people make and then modify these stories to be super creepy for others to read and enjoy. Okay. It's interesting.
I was wondering what a creepypasta was the first time I read this. That the dev wrote that has to be decoded using base 64. Last is Natsuki, where that is a JPG that needs to be edited in Photoshop. Use polar coordinates rectangular to polar, then invert the color, which shows a female. They could be teasing to another game as some of the stuff has nothing to do with DDLC. Oh my god, is this still going? Okay. In regards to EA, I remember when they had great games like Mutant League Football /Hockey and Road Rash. How the mighty have fallen. I think that the only way that they could fix their image is to view this portion of the email. Please send the soul of your pet to me and allow 2 to 3 weeks to process.
I did laugh out loud when I was reading that email. When I got to that joke.
Microtransactions, baby.
What?
Yeah. So do you just have to like bribe your brother to give us the rest of the email, or?
Yeah,
Unfortunately, I can't give up Ollie's soul.
Sorry. I think it's lost in the ether at this point. I didn't get the spectrograph because when I started to dick around with the files, it was after her file had been deleted. So I didn't know that at all. But
so what's in the QR code?
I don't know. I'm assuming it might be like I've seen a bunch of stuff after I beat the game. I went in and tried to see if I had missed any Easter eggs or other things that were built in or like hidden in the files, like this mentions. And there's a lot of weird references to characters that don't seem to pertain at all to DDLC. By the way, that like acronym took me a while to understand at first. At first I was like, wait, is this part of the DLC content that the makers are selling on their website?
I guess it does have the letters DLC in it.
Which, by the way, the DLC or what, like, there's a premium version of this game you can buy, but it doesn't add any content. It's just like some additional CG and some more music, or like the soundtrack and so forth. So completely unnecessary.
You finally get that obligatory beach/pool episode.
Yeah, I mean, where is it in this one, huh? But I remember seeing like a text file that was basically just a weird, I think, psychiatric evaluation of a character that is not in the game. That seems to imply that like there's some sort of experiment going on. Like the closest
redacted name Libitina.
Yeah, exactly. The closest thing I could think of is that maybe that's actually what Monica is, but I think that was kind of a bit of a stretch. And the image that you can get from Natsuki's file is definitely a character that is in a completely different art style and doesn't look like anything of the other girls. Like she's blonde and some other things. So I'm assuming those are probably related, and there's probably either a more in-depth AR thing going on, or alternate reality game.
Excuse me.
But I'm not really sure at this point. The image. So if you just opened up any of those files with like a Word or a text,
Editing.
yeah,
Thing.
you can occasionally see certain tags or bits of text that would tell you what the file was. And so I did that with Monica's, and it's a PNG. And when you open it up using even Paint, it's like a weird broken or shattering glass effect with that with that what was it, that binary thing in the center. And I got that far, but never really went any further than that because I wasn't sure what the hell that was, because it's just basically a square that looks completely out of place in the image with like black and white in it as you zoom in. And we have a little bit more to talk about with DDLC, because we have another email from Catherine, and it states, so Neil doesn't play visual novels, but seems to have naturally completed the necessary requirements for getting the good ending of Doki Doki Literature Club, which is simply making sure you exhaust all 3 routes before finishing the first playthrough of DDLC. This doesn't add up. The game,
Sketchy. Neil, sketchy.
the game.
Oh man, another person has busted the facade that Neil's tried to create for himself.
The persona of cool guy Neil. The good endings requirements is fairly standard par for someone after realizing you have to uninstall and reinstall to start fresh, but only someone who has had experience playing dating sims or visual novels. I don't necessarily agree with the thought that DDLC is meant to be a critical take on these types of games for that reason. Sayori is appreciative when the player gets to know every character, and that act requires the player to embrace the traditional playstyle of visual novels, fighting all events /CG. The developer letter at the end also sounds more like someone expressing fondness for a genre than a critique. In parentheses, Scott's claim to never playing one before makes sense, as he and his partner never attempted to load the game to circumvent any bad ending branches.
Scott makes sense because he was too dumb to continue with the game.
Oh yeah, so to quickly defend myself, there are more, like, I admitted to playing visual novels, or I'll admit to it, I just don't play a whole lot of dating sim visual novels.
He'll admit to playing visual novels.
Yeah, and a whole lot is a very vague threshold, so it could be under 100.
It's not like I've played a whole lot. Like, I've talked about some of them. Danganronpa is like a visual novel, just with a lot of weird game mechanics built into it. Like I've played some like quote unquote dating ones before, but like
quote unquote.
Not to the degree of like Arrow Manga Sensei, okay? Not like not that level.
Wait, were those reviews for all of those erotic games actually your reviews that you just wanted to read because you thought they were funny?
Senseku, whatever that game is called.
All of them that were on like the last Humble Bundle.
Yeah.
Or like, thanks, Dad.
Oh, is it Sakura something or?
Yeah, I think it was both.
Okay.
No, it was literally, it was both of them.
Yeah. Fucking great bundle. Really great bundle. The email continues, same topic, : lots of games have been embracing that sort of reality blurring the line. If you guys like DDLC, there's a game called I'm Scared, and that's with no spaces and it's all capitalized. Do you have a favorite instance or time when a game breaks the fourth wall?
Neil's looking at me expectantly to...
Didn't you read the email beforehand to think about this?
Didn't you prepare an answer?
I've already got one. I've got maybe 2.
I almost forgot mine, and I panicked for a second, and then berating Cookie has refreshed my memory. So I'll give you a quick break, and I'll hop in and do mine real quick. Hideo Kojima games in general always like to break the fourth wall every once in a while. But the first time that I was ever just blown away was the Psycho Mantis fight. And I think that's a very common experience for most people. You really have to take yourself out of the immersion of the game and the game world to effectively combat a boss in the game. And that just blew my mind as a kid. And maybe that's the other thing too, is I was critically impacted by that as well, because as a kid I had never experienced anything that had been fourth wall breaking before. And so I was just absolutely stunned when I finally tried the controller port switch and could not like comprehend how a game could know so much about me while just being like a physical object, right? And so it still ranks up as a moment that I don't think could ever be recreated in my life as like a gamer or a consumer of media. And so I think it's one of the coolest fourth wall breaking things that I've ever seen done.
Even before the fight begins, if you have certain Konami games on your memory card,
Yeah, he
Psychomantis will
starts
be like,
reading them off.
"I see you like to play Suikoden.
Yeah.
You sure seem to save a lot, or very little, depending on what your playstyle is."
Yeah. Oh my god, it's so crazy. Oh, I love it.
So mine comes from it's maybe like not so serious, but it comes from the same series in the second game. What is the second one? Sons of Liberty?
Sons of Liberty is
The fourth wall?
yeah, that's Metal Gear Solid 2.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay. In particular, maybe it's not as like fourth wall breaking, but it's the scene where Raiden and Snake end up meeting up to have like the all-out battle where you stay on one platform.
Is it the bandana fight or the bandana scene?
Snake gives like a bunch of ammo to Raiden, and he's like, "What about you?" And Snake points up to his headband, and he's like, "Infinite ammo," which is like that's the item you get for getting the good ending in MGS.
Yeah, so great.
It's not even that good.
Kojima always has very fun fourth wall breaking things. Like in Death Stranding, his fourth wall breaking thing is he's literally transplanted Norman Reedus into a video game, and now he can't escape until you beat it.
And now Guillermo del Toro. Wait, is that really the thing for Death Stranding?
No, man, I don't know. Nobody knows anything about Death Stranding, though, so it's like I can make any claim I want, and it's equally as valid as any other fan theory. Because I've seen all the trailers now, and I've looked around for explanations, and nobody's got anything.
There's a baby in his esophagus now.
Ugh.
God.
Giving a nice thumbs up.
Well, while we're talking about Kojima, we have one comment from Daniel on episode 40.
Hey,
oh, yeah, sorry.
He never got a turn.
Yeah. Gosh, everyone's just ignoring me today. I'm going to go home. Okay,
Oh, wait,
I
you're
made
already
it.
home.
Made it home, guys. Okay. So I don't have one. I don't play a lot of games that break the fourth wall, I guess. I did play Sons of Liberty, and I guess I did experience the infinite ammo thing. But that really didn't pop out to me. But I guess I read a lot of Deadpool, and he's very aware.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, very much so.
I get more fourth wall breaking things from my comic books.
Actually, the Deadpool movie was really excellent with all of the fourth wall breaking jokes that were made.
See, I
especially
still
enjoyed
haven't seen that.
his
You
joke
haven't?
about the budget not being able to afford more
X-Men?
iconic X-Men.
He's like every time I come to the manor, it's just you two. It's kind of like the movie the budget can't afford more than more than these two X-Men.
So at any point in the movie, are other characters like, "Wait, what are you talking about?" when he breaks the fourth wall like that? He's like, "Oh, nothing. Don't worry about it."
Yeah, I think that's the basic idea, is that the other characters can't access that
Thing. So like when
level of awareness.
So like when he pulls out a picture of Ryan Reynolds and puts it over his face, like dressed as Deadpool, he's pretty handsome, but he's more handsome. And he pulls out a picture of Hugh Jackman.
It's a really funny movie. Like, that'll go down as probably my favorite quote superhero movie unquote. That's how you use quote unquote properly, by the way. It's more of a comedy than anything else.
Well, while we still have Kojima on the mind, we have a comment from Daniel that was on, I think, episode 42 or 43 of this podcast. And it goes as, "I haven't heard any rumors of Hideo still being with Konami. But I've honestly considered that on my own, considering how much he likes to fool his fans and surprise them." And
who is Hideo, and why is he not with Konami?
He's Kojima.
Oh, Hideo Kojima?
Oh, that makes more sense.
Yes.
that he would be not Shinigami Tensei, but himself.
I mean, I at this point, I think it's pretty much.
Isn't it in the bag? Didn't he make his own company?
Well, that's the thing. Technically, Konami still owned the rights to Kojima Productions, like the name at least.
But that's why he renamed it Productions Kojima. Or Kojima's Productions.
I don't think the name changed.
No, he
Or
put
whatever
like an
Jared
apostrophe.
came up with.
Really?
Yeah.
Hmm.
Now I got to do some Google fact checking. Yes.
Either way, it's a fun thought to entertain. But that seems like a coordinated effort beyond something that just Kojima could pull.
Are you sure? Have
On
you
his
seen
own.
anything that he's done?
Yeah, I've seen a lot of the stuff that he's done, but that seems like such a gargantuan effort to keep that hush hush and to make it work. But I won't be upset if I'm proven wrong.
Along with that, what else do we have in that?
That's it for our email and comments. You wanted to roll into our topics today, right?
Yeah, because in relation to EA, as we just brought up in the emails, I think it's very pertinent to bring up some news that just transpired this past week.
What, you mean that they got roasted?
Well, they got roasted, but now they've committed yet another cardinal sin. And that involves acquiring developer Respawn Entertainment. They're the team behind Titanfall 1 and 2.
Wait, shit, they got Respawn?
Yeah, they bought
Fuck
Respawn.
us. Oh, well.
Yeah, especially considering their track record at this point. So this makes things very interesting when you inspect the timeline of what happened with Visceral, because prior to Visceral's shutdown, Nexon, the Korean online and mobile game company, they do like MapleStory and a bunch of like Korean MMOs.
MapleStory was hot shit.
Dude, I fucking love MapleStory back in those days.
Yeah.
I still have my, I haven't played it in a while, but like I was a Magic Knight, or you know what, fucking off topic. So prior to Visceral's shutdown, Nexon had made an offer to purchase Respawn. Respawn's agreements with EA basically allowed EA to be able to match the bid or allow Respawn to be acquired by Nexon. Visceral gets canned shortly after, and EA, not long after, announces their acquisition of Respawn. So it's basically implied that EA more or less had to choose between continued support of Visceral or acquire Respawn, lest they would lose Respawn and likely the game that they were developing, their Star Wars game. The most troubling thing about the situation, though, is that Respawn's present-day value has been hugely impacted by its sales and reception of Titanfall 2, and that was published by EA and also forced to be released alongside Call of Duty Infinite Warfare, a game in the same genre, in the same sort of theme or timeline, and by EA. Like, it just screams out, not like necessarily intentionally nefarious, but sure as hell convenient for EA.
Intentional kneecapping.
Yeah. It's such a fucking bummer.
And from what I know from a lot of people's thoughts about Titanfall 2 is it got a very positive critical reception for anybody who decided to go out and buy that over Infinite Warfare or other games that were releasing at the time.
I bought it over Infinite Warfare.
Good for you.
Played it just as much as Infinite Warfare.
You should play the wait, did I already suggest you play the single player campaign?
I got halfway through when they were building the environment around me,
Okay.
and then I stopped because something else came out. It's like, ooh, shiny.
It was a good campaign.
Yeah, no, from what I played, I was like, yeah, this is cool. It's a good game, first person shootery in the future.
You've beaten the single player campaign in Destiny, though. Destiny 2 specifically, right?
And one, yeah. I think that's what came out.
I don't know what to say. Like,
You got to keep my attention. You can't come out and then expect the new game to come out and me to keep playing the old game.
yeah.
I've got that bug.
I mean, and that's maybe like that is Titanfall 2's fault, not yours. I
can't control what video games come out when.
Yeah, and you can't control if a game loses your attention. Like if there's a lull in the middle of it. So that's a fair criticism.
I met my waifu in Persona 5 and called it a day after that. I did the tomb, and that was it. And I was like, okay.
Like, all right, I'm a fucking Phantom Thief, and life is great.
All right, perfect. Don't need to know how I got caught. Perfect. We're done here. Next game.
Fuck.
I still need to beat that game.
Do you have any thoughts on this, Scott?
No, it makes me sad. But I also didn't support Titanfall 2 by purchasing a copy, so I can't say much. Feel like it would be hypocritical for me to make too much of a complaint or argument about it, since really I didn't put money in on either direction. However, I would say that if I had people who played Titanfall 2 with me, I probably would pick it up, if only because it's a good shooter all around. I played Titanfall 1 a little bit, and I just really, really loved their whole momentum system. I don't think I could ever get it down as well as some of the more skilled players can, but I always thought that was just a cool touch that really made the game unique within that first-person shooter realm.
Do you hear the Scott's placing the blame on us for not inviting him along to play Titanfall 2?
I didn't know you guys had it. I probably should have bought it and played it with you had I known.
I don't have it, but I still find
So I guess I'm the only one who has
okay,
it.
Here's my thing.
Placed.
Here's my thing. Just because I'm a vegetarian, or I'm actually not, but if I were, that does not mean I am not allowed to talk about the beef industry.
So basically what he's saying, Scott, is it's 2017. Trump is president. Be as hypocritical as you want. That's the time.
No,
we're not allowed to shoot Nazis anymore.
It's not that so much. It's just that like EA is directly affecting the game industry in multiple ways. And I think just because you didn't buy a game from Respawn, a company that was just picked up by EA, doesn't mean you can't point out the shit. Like, you can't point out the obvious shit that EA has right now.
Or maybe he just feels bad.
And in that vein, I mean, you were being a lot more cautious with your words than I perhaps would be, because I think it absolutely is an intentional move by EA to try and siphon some of Titanfall 2's otherwise possible sales. And by doing so, that makes them much easier to acquire as well.
So does that just mean you're mad, Scott, that you fell for EA's trap by not buying Titanfall and thus making Respawn much cheaper to buy for EA? I couldn't remember the name of the company.
I'm always mad.
Okay.
Angry all the time,
Okay,
especially
Mark
when it
Rufio.
comes to EA and building their evil gaming empire.
I could dig
Yeah,
it.
it sucks. And every time you see a studio gobbled up by the giant conglomerate that is EA, I find that my interest in their like next game release or title is always diminished substantially. And it just makes me fear for all of my favorite developers that could be in EA's crosshairs.
Like Shin Megami Tensei.
That'll never happen, and I'm at least happy for that.
The next topic we have here is the Game Awards 2017. Not so much going to discuss the results, although I would say I don't think anyone was surprised with Breath of the Wild being essentially Game of the Year.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
I didn't watch the
just
Game
from
Awards.
its sales metrics, you could probably say it's Game of the Year regardless of the content. That thing sold Switches and then sold more copies of itself on top of that.
It sold more copies of itself than it did sell the only console you could play it on.
I know,
Well,
it's
only
mind-blowing.
one of two consoles. Because
Yeah,
it's
you
also
could
on
get
Wii
it on
U.
the Wii U,
But
which
it
it
still
also
s-
played fine for. I played it on both versions, and the Switch is definitely more satisfying, but the Wii U was totally fine.
Hey, it's got the faster load
definitely
times.
Preserve the experience.
Seriously? The Wii U is faster?
Yeah, speedrunners play it on the Wii U rather than the Switch.
Wow.
Yeah, I believe that too.
Who came in second?
There is no second place. If you're not first, you're last.
That's what Ricky Bobby says.
Ricky Bobby's dad, too. Might have been drunk
Yeah.
at the time. But they announced a handful of new titles, or they, as in developers, did, publishers.
Yeah.
Um,
Bayonetta 3 Switch exclusive. I'm excited for that.
Now that
Another
you got
great
one.
reason to own a Switch.
Fade to Silence and the Valley of Gods. A new teaser from FromSoftware,
Bloodborne 2.
which we'll talk about that in a second, because I'm not so certain about that anymore. Soul
What do you mean?
Calibur 6,
It's just 10
Witchfire.
seconds of...
What's up?
Sorry. I'm sorry. I just wanted to jump right into this From Software announcement.
Last two
It's only-
titles. Witchfire,
Okay.
World War Z. That's right,
Wait.
based off of the fucking movie. We don't need
and
to talk
which is
about.
based off of the book
Yeah.
by Max Brooks. Okay.
From Software.
I don't know how you can get much out of this From Software. 10 seconds of bloody spring-loaded hype. Like, that's it. That's all there was in it.
Okay,
And-
so do you know what just happened with From Software recently?
I have no idea. No.
Demon Souls servers just shut down, or they just announced that they'd be shutting down.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I did know about that. Sorry.
So wouldn't it be pertinent to say that maybe we're going to see a Demon Souls remake?
Why would we see a Demon Souls remake when they've got Dark Souls, which was the original Demon Souls?
No, Demon Souls was the original.
Demon
Dark
Souls came before
that's what I
Dark
meant.
Souls.
That's what I meant. You know what I
It goes
meant.
Demons,
Dark Souls was the original
Dark,
Demon Souls.
Dark 2,
Dark,
Bloodborne,
Dark
3.
3, Into Darkness, Darkness Arises,
Star Wars,
then-
Star Trek, Into the Darkness.
Star Wars, Into the Darkness.
And then the vampire anime fighting game.
What?
I'm
that they're gonna
interested.
release. You know what I'm talking about? Remember
Yeah,
it was
yeah, I can't.
oh
think
my
of it.
god, how did we forget the title of this
Blood?
already?
Is
It's
it
Blood something, isn't it?
Bloodstained? No, Bloodstained is the
Wait, there's a.
Castlevania spiritual successor.
I'm interested in this. What is this?
I don't know. Just look up anime Dark Soul or
It's
anime Bloodborne.
Prepare to Dine. I'm trying to think. It's Code Vein. That's what it
Code
is.
Vein,
It's Code
okay.
Vein.
I mean, I would love to see a Bloodborne too, especially when they just released like a Bloodborne comic recently.
Oh yeah, and that art is really neat.
So I was really sure it was going to be Bloodborne 2, but when the word about the servers, the Demon Souls servers shutting down kind of raised up, I assumed that, that would probably be something relatively easy to re-release on PS4 and make a quick buck. And probably something that they would get like quite a bit of fanfare from.
Oh, we should also note that it does say shadows die twice, and so I don't know what shadows are relevant to in the Dark Souls universe, or not the Dark Souls universe, but in just the available From Software universes as well.
Wait, so is that not like a? Is that
I
not
know
what you
there's
are in Bloodborne?
Phantoms and shades in multiplayer, if I remember correctly, but I don't remember if shadows is relevant to anything.
So what are you in Bloodborne then?
You're within a dream. Kind of. Are you in a dream? I don't even fucking know that principal thing in Bloodborne now. Like, does Bloodborne take place in a dream world? Or are you just awake during the hunt, like the night of the hunt? Like, oh my god, I need to play that game again and brush up on that. But I don't think it's ever like empirically proven or stated what exactly is happening in Bloodborne. You still with us, Scott?
I am. I'm just like, my mind's going crazy of the possible things that Shadows Die Twice could be referencing.
So Cookie brought up is showing me a Wikia article or a page on the Shadow of Yharnam boss in Bloodborne.
So maybe?
Which that's the 3 shade figures that you have to fight in Old Yharnam?
Yeah, they're really
Oh.
hard. I
Scrub.
always had a really bad time with Shadow of Yharnam. One of the most difficult bosses for me.
Really?
Did you only have to beat them
I know,
once?
they're not supposed to be that hard, but I just had really bad luck every time I'd fight him.
It's all about the columns, man. The
I
hardest
know it is.
the hardest boss in that fucking game for me was the last 2 bosses.
I haven't made it that far still.
What?
So-
God, Scott, what are you, me?
What the fuck, man? How
Don't
have you
yell
not
at
finished
me.
Bloodborne yet? Fuck.
Didn't Cookie tell you something shiny comes along and you have something else to do? Plus,
Oh my
if
God.
I can't remember what build I had either, because I had 2 builds going, and one of them was very effective at what it was doing, but I think it was further back in the story than the other build I had, which was like a very glass cannon dex build. And so as I hit some harder difficulties in the game, oh yeah, and I don't have online, so my insight is outrageous. And whenever I see anything that causes frenzy, my health bar just explodes. So I have some difficulties I need to work through before I finish it.
You have to purposely buy things in the Insight shop to keep it down to like a manageable level. God, Bloodborne
But I
is
want to see
by
all the
far-
cool spooky stuff that you need insight to see.
There's a metric or there's a number that gives you the right amount to see most cool things, but like not
Not
so many
instant
that
death with
enemies are going to
frenzy.
instant kill you. Yeah.
Because I'm playing in the insta-kill realm right now, which is very difficult.
Oh man, Bloodborne's so fucking good. Like I like Dark Souls. I really like Dark Souls, but Bloodborne just had so many new interesting things that made me appreciate it on like a much greater level.
Bloodborne's wonderful, but I just think it's harder in general than Dark Souls.
How it has the mechanic that if you don't stop fighting, you just keep healing up. Like you got to drain that blood, get their blood into your wounds because that's the healthiest thing you can do. In the Bloodborne universe, like blood transmitted diseases do not exist.
I got nothing for this conversation, guys.
Cookie's still creeped out after that Yuri incident last time we played Doki Doki Literature Club.
Oh, the stabbing one.
Stabbing
Her blood transfusion as well.
Man, I had to sit there and look at her dead body for so long.
Well, you hit the skip button at least, right? I don't want to go too far off topic, but you hit the skip button to skip through it.
And it just
I did.
skips days.
Sierra was just mashing spacebar, and if you remember, we had our text speed at the slowest possible. So we're just sitting there and sitting there.
Wait,
and
really?
Finally, we realized there's a skip button, but it was much too late.
And
also,
the skip button
I
is
will
like
note,
lit up at that point.
It is.
Because
Whatever.
Seldom do you
Whatever.
actually get to use the skip button. So it's bold, and it's like, oh, why is this here now?
Yeah. Okay. Well, anyway, that's just not how it played out for us.
Yeah, okay.
And you can at least see like the life slowly drained from her eyes as they lose color. So that was interesting.
So we also got some updates on some games that have already been announced. Of
PUBG.
any of these, I think the most important one's probably going to
Sea
be
of
Death
Thieves.
Stranding. So the Sea of Thieves thumbnail that you can find on their video is horrible because the woman looks like she has a caved-in head. Or
Good.
like her head just does not look shaped properly. Like her face is almost 80% of the head shape. Where the hell is the forehead? Where is the cranium? Apparently you don't need one to be a pirate.
Hobby, why would you need a forehead to be a pirate? That's just less thing for someone to shoot at.
True. Death Stranding.
What about it?
That trailer.
Which
Still
one?
confused.
Wait, there was a trailer for Death Stranding and not just that
Or teaser, whatever.
the like
It's a-
7-minute thing
Yeah,
that
that-
they did at PSX as well?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
That we joke about like not knowing anything about that game, but that trailer at least gives me some hope that there's some sort of semblance of a narrative going on. Like
What are you talking about? First, there was the fat guy holding the baby. No, first there was naked, what's his face holding baby. Then there was the fat guy holding the baby, and now what's his name was holding the baby, but he wasn't naked this time. And monsters.
he's got time to take off his
And
clothes.
Old buddy went Doki Doki Literature Club on himself.
Oh yeah, that's right. Man,
Well, so
I'm just surprised that Death Stranding is not Death Stranding : Baby's Journey, or Baby's Grand Adventure. That's the only like unifying thing I've seen to this narrative so far.
I'll actually play it if it's called that. If you can get that colon added, Baby's Grand Adventure, yeah.
But like we see a lot of things that give us an idea of what this game could be. Like we see guns, we see knives, we see an enemy type, and potentially Mads Mikkelsen. That's the figure on top of the van, I'm assuming, because he does the same point that he did in the second trailer or teaser.
Gotcha.
We also see fake
Cool
bootleg
flashlight.
Ghost.
Yeah.
Bootleg Ghost.
Yeah, so Ghost from Destiny.
Really?
Yeah,
Hmm.
the thing that's
Oh, right.
blinking over the people's shoulders.
Which only blinks when they hold the baby. So the baby seems to be like the power
Battery.
beacon or something. Yeah, the battery.
the battery for the cool flashlight, as Scott eloquently put it. That was what you were talking about, right, Scott?
That's exactly what I was talking about.
But so we were introduced to essentially the mechanic that's going to tell us how close enemies are.
And
By the
that
blinking
mechanic,
disc.
that mechanic seemed very useless because it started blinking and then flipped the fuck out, and then the handprint was like seriously an inch away from the dude.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, it's kind of too late.
I would
That could
assume that if this is going to be like a Metal Gear Solid style, like you run around with gun type game, you may or may not have to hold a button to hold your breath, kind of like Deadly Premonition, or not to hold it, but to like, cover your mouth. Yeah.
Don't even breathe.
That obviously does it.
And then the trailer goes on for another 2 minutes. I'm like, well, I'd be unconscious.
But
I gotta say, it could have really high potential for being a scary game. That whole like looming but invisible
Seeable.
or unseeable, undetectable presence is such a great like mechanic for creating this foreboding sense of like fear and panic and anxiety. If it's pretty much a horror game in the same realm as like Alien Isolation, where your enemy is ultimately just much stronger than you at pretty much all points in the game, I could see that actually being very entertaining.
yeah.
So what you're saying is this is on a cookies no fly list.
I don't think you're giving yourself enough credit. When you played Resident Evil 7, you did perfectly fine.
I know, it just seems like a waste of time.
But maybe it's because there were 3 other people in the room with you to give you like added courage, Persona 4 like, where we're giving you the courage,
I just have to I just have to accept my real self.
which is not in the video game, so you're perfectly safe. Yeah, it makes sense.
That was Persona 4's message, right? Accept yourself?
Yeah.
Or was
yeah,
that
that's-
Persona 5's message? What was Persona?
No, Persona 4 is totally about like, accept every side of who you are, the good and bad.
So what were you
Persona
accepting
5
in
is
Persona
much more
5?
rebel against
Oh, yeah.
Persona
unjust
5 is about
world.
Trump.
Anyway, moving on. Fortnite got an update of some sort. Same
it's
with
50 v 50 for their whatever they're calling their normal,
Battle Royale?
Yeah.
Wait, their normal mode?
No.
Their Battle Royale.
Yeah, it's now a 50 v 50 battle royale.
I mean,
Which-
that's pretty cool news. It brings me back to the days of playing Battlefield 2, 32 versus 32 servers.
So 50 v 50 is pretty impressive for a numbers sake on a console or on PC. It's a little less.
Right,
Impressive.
that's
Impressive,
much
but-
more feasible than
So wait,
like
is it just the big
console.
team deathmatch?
I imagine there are certain elements of the battle royale mode in with it, but just that 50 v 50 seems to be the bigger scope or the bigger concentration. Focus. There we go. That's the better word. So are they basically just going to do every first person / third person shooter type thing
Concept.
that people aren't doing as well as they could?
Yeah, it sounds
sure,
legit.
why not?
Like-
add like their unique mechanic to it, and you got a game.
Yeah,
Like-
Halo just dropped. I don't know if they implemented it in Halo 5, but I thought they got rid of like the big team battles.
Maybe I don't play Halo.
So
I don't remember
Um,
how big the big team battles were though in Halo 5.
that's the thing. I don't think it was as big as Halo 3 or 4. I don't play Halo, so just this is kind of going off of an old conversation I had with Matt.
Get the fuck out. I mean,
The game.
GTFO.
Which looks interesting. It looks like a more serious Left 4 Dead.
I was watching something and they compared it to it's going to end up being pwned when that game came out.
You mean non-existent in a couple years, irrelevant?
And by non-existent in a couple of years, I think pwned came out last year.
Oh, really?
Wow.
I kind of forgot that game existed before you said anything.
Yup. You can ride motorcycles in Cookie's Breath of the Wild now.
Yeah, I saw that. They finally took heed of people making their own vehicles and were like, oh, we should probably do
Just-
something like this.
Throw a vehicle in there.
It also looks like those tires have some mad traction because they're riding that up a pretty steep slope at one point in time.
So I really wish they actually just took the bike from Mario Kart.
Why is that? Do you mean in terms of control or
No,
appearance?
so appearance. So like they literally imported the bike that you can ride in Mario Kart that came with the Link expansion in Mario Kart. So it's an Epona
Oh,
motorcycle.
okay. I'm not as familiar with Mario Kart 8.
Yeah,
whatever.
no. So yeah, you can ride Epona in Mario Kart 8. but it's a blue motorcycle, and it looks really awesome. But I guess this one also
it's
looks
called
awesome.
the Master Cycle.
Yeah,
Really?
that one.
Yeah, it's got the Master Sword color scheme.
It's what happens when you impale Epona with the Master Sword.
And then take it to that fairy to bring it back to life.
Yeah, you throw Epona with the sword like lunged into the fountain. She's like, "Did you drop this motorcycle?"
Oh man, it's actually got some really great names in foreign languages. In
The
German,
Master
it's
Sword?
the Eponator. It's the Epona Terminator.
PUBG's getting a new desert map. As our sole PUBG player, Cookie, does that make you excited at all?
As your sole Fortnite Battle Royale player, no?
You own PUBG though, right?
I do own PUBG.
Okay.
But I've been playing more Fortnite Battle Royale. It actually, that building mechanic really makes things super interesting. Like, me and Lizzie were playing it together the other day, and like, we got really far into it because we were using teamwork and being douches like that, and it's all good.
Isn't there a team-based
It was
battle royale too?
It was a team-based Battle Royale, so it was fine.
Okay.
And like, this guy, we like noticed a structure in the sky. This dude built a fucking fortress in the middle of the fucking map, like 200 feet up in the air. And I was like,
He's always got the high ground.
that totally makes sense. So he like waited for the circle to get like small enough to where you know where the middle of the map's going to be.
Mhm.
And that's where his fucking fortress was. And no one could get to him. You're just like, fuck me.
So the circle in Fortnite always shrinks in a
No.
okay,
So it does the same exact thing PUBG does. It gives you
Randomized
big circle.
final point.
then a smaller circle
Circle.
within it, but it's not centered in that big circle. It could be
Yeah.
any place.
So it's like by the fourth circle that gets placed, you know where the middle's more than likely going to be.
Okay. So it's a gamble because it could have been slightly off.
Correct.
And he would have been like, "Oh shit, I guess
Now
my
I've got to figure out how to build a staircase down from this. Because by the time like I noticed his fortress in the sky, the beginning of his staircase was way outside the circle.
Oh, that's so good. That's the best part.
And like
He could just work his staircase into the next
that's kind of what he
epicenter.
was. That's kind of what he was doing, because with the draw distance, you could see like the weird angles that his staircase was taking.
Oh,
So he started going in one direction and then quickly shifted direction and
So
kept
That's
building.
brilliant.
you don't like
You don't need floor to build up.
okay, so it's
just build a
basically like
ramp.
Minecraft with the physics, except no
Mhm.
sand or gravel.
Correct. So you just literally build a ramp that is a staircase that just connects to nothing, and you
Right.
just keep going up.
Yeah, that sounds pretty fantastic.
So that's why I was like, Fortnite can just take whatever they want from other games, and as long as they got that building mechanic, it kind of makes it unique enough that
Yeah.
you're going to be doing real weird shit with it.
There's like a level of zaniness to it that you're not going to get from a more serious quote unquote simulation game. Not saying PUBG is meant to be like a serious simulation game.
But it's
I mean,
serious
it's
enough
no
that I
Arma
don't
3,
know.
but
Speaking of Arma 3, Metro Exodus got an update of some sort. And
Are you looking forward to it?
No.
Okay, yeah.
I've skipped all the Metro games.
The second Metro games storyline kind of annoyed me in a way that I just immediately stopped caring about Metro.
They asked me to buy 2 video games at full price. Good.
Wait, what do you mean?
Metro whatever and Metro
2033
whatever.
and Last Light?
Yeah.
Well, they released at different times.
Did
It's
they?
just yeah, like
I thought they both came out on the PlayStation at the same time.
if they might have come out as remastered versions or something. Ports.
That could be it. Oh, no. Yeah, I'm wrong. They weren't both at full price. They were both at partial price, but I was like, which one do I get? Neither. Okay.
Yeah, neither. 2033 like has some game design issues. And like the concept behind both games or Metro in general is cool. It's like what would you have like the idea is a more story focused Fallout, less open world and then focusing more on some of the like post-apocalyptic Fallout type of lifestyle changes you would need, like
And nobody
having to swap
decided
out your
on an
gas mask.
arbitrary currency like caps either, right?
Yeah, you use bullets, I think, to do most of your bartering.
Something that makes a lot more sense.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I just imagine you use bullets to do a lot more of your.
Give me your food.
Or I will give you a bullet. Hey,
This sounds like Sierra's kind of puzzle shooter.
Sea of Thieves. That'll be out spring of 2018. I'm still excited for this game.
Are you really?
Mhm.
You're gonna have to play it on PC.
That's fine. I built 2 of them.
But Windows, Xbox, Windows Store. Fuck.
It's not that big of a deal, Neil.
Yeah.
You click on it like twice. There's a search. You click on it to open it. You type in the game you're looking for in the search thing, and that's the last time you have to open it.
I just fucking hate the Windows storefront. Like,
For something he never uses, he just hates it. It's okay. I forgive you.
I had to use it to get Halo, and at that point, I don't know.
Just soured your
I
experience.
just wish
of-
they would put it, and hopefully they put it on Steam like they did Cuphead. Or it's not like Microsoft did that. It was their developers,
Yeah,
MDG or whoever.
doesn't matter.
Any other games that we want to talk about from the Game Awards 2017?
Did they talk about that one other game that I wanted to think about that I can't really think of that was talked about at PSX? I didn't actually watch the Game Awards. Full disclosure, guys.
Well, so maybe this is a good time to talk about PSX and what we've seen so far, because as of this recording, PSX is still going on, so we might not have all the news, and maybe we'll have to do a small little mini update later, or just next week.
I could dig it. Oh, actually, I do have a question. I'm hearing like there wasn't a lot of things from Xbox at the Game Show Awards.
Surprise, surprise.
Not really, I guess.
No.
What are your guys' thoughts on that?
I mean, it's the same problem they've had with Xbox One at this point, which is they don't have a whole lot of
things to say.
exclusives. And some of their exclusives turn out to kind of be dumpster fires. Like when Cuphead is the one thing, aside from Halo 5 as well, let's not discredit that. But when
I thought people didn't like Halo 5.
I guess not. I guess they wanted less lock and more Master Chief, but it still seems to be a decent game.
Okay, I'll just keep watching Red versus Blue.
But compared to like Sony's output of exclusives at this point, it just 2017 and 16 in general, it doesn't seem like Xbox has done a great job with their console exclusives. And the games that they do have at this point that are exclusive to Xbox and the console are now available on PC, which kind of
Moves
It
out
defeats
that
the
entire
purpose
point.
of that exclusivity.
Yeah.
But it's amazing for PC gamers, so I'm not complaining.
I am also not complaining, for I get to play my Forza Horizon and my Mortal Kombat. Nope, not Mortal Kombat, Killer Instinct.
Killer Instinct.
But I would like to say a lot of this stuff that happened at the Tokyo Game Show was Sony things.
You mean the Game Awards?
Yeah, what did I say?
Tokyo Game Show.
Yeah, the
Your
Game
Your
Awards.
consistency in like misnaming things kind of works, I guess.
Well, in my defense, this is how I am in real life anyway, so it doesn't matter. So yeah, with Sony being at the Game Awards and then also having their own huge weekends of PlayStation experience
their own exclusive expo.
and still having things to talk about kind of flabbergasted me. So like I was super excited that I got to watch some gameplay of footage of Dream and
Or Dreams, right?
Dreams, excuse me. Yeah.
Which that was like a surprising trailer, because I just watched the trailer. I didn't watch any of the talk or expose before and after, but it felt like when I watched that game that it's like, oh, this is a narrative driven game. And then you told me after we talked about it a bit that no, this is not a narrative game. This is just something you could make within Dreams.
Correct. This is something the developers are like, oh yeah, I guess we should probably show people what you can do in Dreams.
Yeah.
And then let them go. So they made a narrative story using the engine that is Dreams, which is, as you put it, what you thought was just going to be like painting.
Yeah, like Paint 3D, VR Paint.
with a graphics engine. So this makes me excited.
And apparently a physics engine if you're going to be able to make a platformer.
Oh yeah, so they're like platformers are doable, racing games are doable. It's pretty much turning into
RPG Maker, except not half-assed.
pretty much.
I mean, it could still be half-assed.
I was going to say it's turning into oh god, what's the name of that game that came out where you're on the motorcycle and you're doing stunts and tricks, but it's asymmetrical and it's hard and it's all physics-based engine and they let you create whatever you want to create. Came out on Xbox 360
for the NES.
No. Oh god, what was that game called? God damn it. I'm really damn it. I was thinking Excitebike too, but I'm like, it's not Excitebike. Trials.
I never played it.
You never played Trials?
I've never heard of it.
Yeah,
Oh man, Trials is
the best Xbox game you can get on the market. I don't know where I'm going with that.
maybe. So Trials and Trials HD, they're basically it's a twin stick motorcycle game where you're just literally going through short levels of increasing difficulty on this like random ass physics engine.
How is it twin stick? You have one stick that assumedly controls your direction.
Oh wait, maybe not twin stick. So gas.
So, are you also shooting people?
So that's why I actually say it. So they give you a level editor that was so in depth, people were making first person shooters. So yeah, just like Google Trials Fusion and look at the gameplay of that and just imagine that people took the level editor and can make whatever genre video game they want. So that's what Dreams kind of is without being a motorcycle game, I guess.
I get you.
And
that's interesting.
And that actually kind of makes me super excited. I hope Dreams comes out on Vive because I'll enjoy it a lot more on the Vive whenever I get my PSVR back. It's in Iowa right now.
Wait,
yeah, I didn't.
I thought you sold
know
it.
about this.
No, I didn't sell it. Oh, what'd you say, Scott?
Oh, I was gonna say I didn't know about Dreams, and this is like really cool to conceptualize not only the capability that you might be able to have as a user in building something, but in the same sense that one of the most fun things about Mario Maker is also experiencing other people's creations. I'm just like absolutely floored at the idea of thinking all the cool things that other more creative or more invested people will be able to make with this, and if there will be an ability to kind of share and interact with other people's dreams that they've made. Yeah, dreams that they've dreamt. It's so cool. This has got to be one of the most hyped things I think I've seen for this year.
So yeah, so I'm super stoked about it because like when they first announced the PlayStation VR, this was like their tech demo of like, hey, oh yeah, and this is this paint thing that you can do in VR, and then they like animated little puppets and made them dance.
And then we never saw it again for the next 2 years.
And
basically.
I was like super pissed because that's the reason I was like, I want a PlayStation VR because of this. And then Tilt Brush came out on everything besides the PlayStation VR, and I'm like, what the fuck, Google? Sony promised me one thing, and I want it, goddammit, and now it's finally coming. And hopefully Sony puts it on the HTC Vive because it's going to be much better on that. But you know, it's what else.
I don't think they can. I mean, they can.
I was about to say, why couldn't they?
Able to, but I assume they probably, if this turns out to be as cool as you would expect it to be or you're hoping for, why give up another console, a VR exclusive?
Touche.
Because Resident Evil 7, as far as I remember, has not been ported over to Vive or anything. I think there have been some ass backwards ways to do it.
I don't think it has either, actually.
What else was worth talking about with PSX?
They tried showing me more of Detroit Become Human, and they actually did a playthrough of the scene where you're the robot talking.
The negotiator?
The negotiator. So they actually did a live playthrough of that. Apparently I skipped it because I didn't want to see.
Yeah, I purposely did not watch it either since I already know I'm going to buy that dumpster fire.
Yeah, so...
I'm assuming it's going to be bad. But I want to play it still, right?
It looks so good. But
yeah,
so
it looks good, but it's going to be bad. Like Heavy Rain looked great. Guess what? Heavy Rain was okay. Beyond Two Souls looked really good. Guess what? It was not good. So I think there's like an expectation for David Cage games at this point where a relationship, a direct correlation where your expectation for the game means how bad it's going to be.
I could see that.
So you go into playing Omicron, which depending on what period of time we're talking, like when Omicron came out and it's promised to be like Tomb Raider plus Tekken plus GTA or GTA 3, like the hype is unreal, and then it turns out to be the worst fucking game ever. But now when you look at Omicron and you know, oh, it's got David Bowie, that's kind of cool, but this game is horrible, you play it and you're like, wow, this is actually kind of hilariously good.
Oh, Soul Calibur.
Oh, Soul Calibur 6, that's right.
They announced that. Megaman's going to be in Monster Hunter Worlds.
What?
Yeah.
Is he going to be a monster you have to hunt?
No, so you're going to be hunting his foes. And like, so in Monster Hunter World, I'll have to talk about that during this podcast at some point today. You get a little cat companion, and you can actually dress him in a like 8-bit Mega Man outfit. So he literally becomes Mega Man, and he's shooting like little cannons, and you got to fight like Scissor Man and Rockman, but they're monsters in the game. It's adorable.
Wow.
A new fighting game was announced. I forget what it was called.
You're not talking about the Blazblue, are you?
I am talking about the Blazblue.
Blazblue Cross something or other that has Persona characters as well as some others. Yeah,
As well as Ruby characters.
that's right, Ruby.
Ruby's in it. I was excited about that. So yeah, so it's Persona 4 Arena,
Mhm.
Blazblue, and Ruby are getting a fighting game, and I'm kind of excited about that. That excites me. Kind of. I like Blazblue. It's a fun game.
Were they all made by the same company? Like I don't know about Ruby.
Considering Ruby was Rooster Teeth and
Yeah, but it doesn't mean they couldn't just hire out the developer.
and what's his name? Monty Ohm. Apparently Absolver got something new that was announced.
A 3v3 update. Are either of you guys playing Absolver still?
I want to get back into it, but I haven't played in a while.
The Rick and Morty game is coming to VR, virtual reality, and and PSVR. And I think that's all I really cared about. That I noticed about the PSX that I skimmed through.
We also had an update. Oh, so Last Guardian's coming to VR, and we got some more footage of Shadow of the Colossus, the remake.
Which looks gorgeous in comparison to the previous PlayStation 3 remaster, I believe.
Yeah.
There's a huge improvement to the graphics.
We also got a hint or
3?
a mention that we might be able to change our PSN names.
Oh yeah, that was also kind of important.
Yeah, that's very important.
I finally want to drop the 2 O's and put the U in.
Is it currently cookies and milk?
It's
Cookies and milk or
Cookie _ Skimilk, but cookie spelled normally. Oh yeah, I guess if anyone wants to add me, just say who you are and how you know me. So if you just say you're a fancy ramen listener, then I'll accept you. Otherwise, I don't accept just random ads.
Likely you won't even have that username later this year. Who knows? I'd like to get rid of mine, which seems kind of inappropriate if you have the
Yan Yan Cutie 29.
Yes,
You're gonna toss that, Neil?
Yeah, I think that just about does it for PSX, unless anyone has some final words on it.
Nah, sounds good to me.
I'm glad they drew me to the dark side when they did.
You know, I will say that this is also the reason why we didn't see as much from them over the last year. Like, there were some executives saying basically said that they had made a bad habit of showing games off too early, and so they were not showing their cards off as quickly. Because we didn't necessarily see a whole lot of new games from Sony at the PSX show.
Should we get anything for Kingdom Hearts, actually?
No, because that shit's never going to be done.
Exactly. So I'm glad they've learned their lesson, and they're going to stop showing me.
I did want to bring up one last bit of news, and that is Romancing SaGa will be released on December 15th, which is only a few days away, worldwide on Switch, Vita, Xbox One, PS4, and PC.
Oh, shit, son. That's actually kind of exciting.
Yeah, so unlike many of its other sequels or games within the SaGa franchise, this has never actually had like even a fan-translated version that was actually comprehensive. And this game is considered by some to be like the best in the SaGa series. It's pretty unique in that like you play different generations of this royal family, and in each generation, at the end of it, like your protagonist basically passes along their magical knowledge and abilities to their successor, and also gives you like benefits, or like you're able to see the results of your conquests or actions in that past generation. So like if you save a city from like a monster, you may come back to it and see the city's thriving, and it may give you bonuses for whatever those may be. And we also received confirmation, apparently, just since we're bringing it up, that Romancing Saga 3 will have a official localization for the West as well, and that's being re-released on Vita. So that's exciting if you want to dumb yourself down with some JRPGs in the upcoming months.
Less exciting that they're actually doing things with the Vita. They should just kill it. Please and thank you.
There's like a lot of small little titles coming out on the Vita still. Fucking A. Yeah, Vita. It would be great if they just put all of that into the Switch, but at the same time, I'm happy that the Vita is still being used in some way.
So, I do have a question. You didn't start this podcast off with what we do this week.
Well, that's because we're going to do that next episode. If you have comments, questions, or corrections, you can write into podcast@fancyramen.com.
And if you've been enjoying the show, leave a review with us on Apple Podcasts.
But most importantly, please tell a friend and help us grow our audience. Until next time, guys.
Until next time, which may just be a couple days instead of a week.
Yeah.
Yep.
Bye.
Peace.
Bye.